Right, well, you'll have seen some of the different timber eggs that I've made. I'm up to about 44 at the moment, with a number more to make, and started making them because I had a lot of spare timber, so I wanted something small and relatively easy to turn that I could use up a lot of offcuts. So we're going to make an egg, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that I've done it. So first of all, I'm using this small jawed chuck. It's a Record RS2000. It's actually the first chuck I ever bought, and that's why it's got a thread adapter on here from a 16 TPI to an 8 TPI, which puts it a little bit out from the headstock. I'm going to use a stab centre. It's not a stab centre designed for this particular chuck, so it does again stick out a bit further than it should, but it does the job. At least, yes, it does. It turns correctly. Now this is a piece of 2 1/4 by 2 inch sycamore. So it's fairly important that I get it in the centre, but I find that I can do that by eye. If I've got a 2 by 2 block, then I would want to mark it more accurately, because the egg is going to be the standard shape is 43 that way and 62 that way, which is apparently a standard egg shape. Put the lathe up to 2000 and introduce some chipping. I'm just using a whipping board here to get it down to round. Should be enough. Can manage without that now, so you can hear a bit better. So I'm just going to size this. This should be set to 45mm. Yeah. I made the mistake when I was making a batch of these of not checking. And the calipers gradually widen the more you use them, and I ended up with some fatter eggs, but that's not unlike real eggs. So they're just sizing cuts. There we go, so that's the right width. For the length, I just have this little piece of wood that's got 2 marks on it. This is the height, and this bit is the take that bit further. This is the centre line. So I'll just take this down a little bit. That's the height. And then this we've got a chucking point here, and then just a little edge, and that's the bottom of the egg. And this line is the median, well, it's the line where the greatest width is. So just going to take shape. And the technique with this is a 1/2 inch spindle gouge. The technique is put it on the bevel and turn so that it's almost 90 degrees at this point, and that's the pointy end, the big end. What I'm doing here is using a shear scrape on the bottom wing of the flute, and that's just being pulled along and scraping. And then same on this side. Now, normally I would do a batch of these, so I'd take that one off and do another, and then another and another, but just to show you the whole process, we take that out. This will now fit in here. Yep, still centred. And that means that I can turn this to a point at this end. And I'm using the shear scraping to get the shape. Up to here. I'm still leaving this line in at the moment. and blend the two parts together. Shear scraping doesn't work on all the timbers that I've got, but it's fine on this one. I can't get in here with a spindle dowel, so I'm just going to use a fine parting tool, 1/16 of an inch. And I could use a medium. Now with this one you can actually use this side of the chisel just to the flat, to scrape that part that you can't get into. But now I can use my preferred chisel, and that's about as far as I can go with the chisels. So next we'll do a bit of sanding. I'll take the safe speed down to 750. Move the paper as much as possible. Much as I hate wasting paper, really it does pay to have fresh paper. This is 120. I'm actually going to take it up a bit again. It's a bit like keeping your chisel sharp, really, is using fresh paper. People mock sycamore, but it is actually a lovely wood. Look at the grain there. Very, very nice. Just trying to avoid getting any lines by keeping the paper moving as much as possible. There we go. We'll move on to 180. And then 240. Finish with 320. that. Nice and smooth, no obvious lines. And now I'm just going to take this in as far as I possibly can. So when I'm displaying this, this is the point that will probably be showing. You can see that's wobbling a bit now, and the base will be less obvious. Use a small spindle gouge to turn around that as much as I can. And then just try and finish this as far in as you can. The more you can sand on the lathe, the better the curve will be. There we go. And then rather than parting it off, just cut it off. And we've got a little noddle there, which is usually best done with I need to try and do as little sanding as possible to keep the shape. So that's got rid of the noddle. And then go through the bricks. And 320. Well, you can see that there's a little round here, and the finish isn't quite as nice as if you sand it on the lathe. So after I've made a few of these, I thought of a different technique for holding it. Which I will show you. Now, I have got a number of new timbers that I've got here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 13, 15, 17 different timbers. I'm not going to go through them all, but I will use one of the hopefully the nicer ones and see what happens with my second method. Okay, so for these I'm going to use these jaws, which are step jaws, so they've got 3 different radiuses inside, or diameters: 45, 55, 65, and these will hold a small 1/2 inch step centre. Oops. Well, the advantage of this method is I can cut the wood to about 3 inches, whereas if I need to leave a chucking point on here, I'm looking at 3.5 or 4 inches. And wood like this is cocobolo, is expensive. It's about £15, £20 for a 12-inch 2-inch blank. So I don't want to be wasting anything that I can avoid. So let's mount it up. We'll go for the centre. Yep. And centre on this end. Should do it. Now cocobolo is on the CITES 2 list because it's an it's a rosewood type wood, so they've classed it as endangered because rosewood is being bought up by the Chinese in horrendous amounts. So anything that is rosewood or looks like rosewood has been classed as endangered. Just get kitted up and we'll take it up to 2000. Do this back and forward, but I like to work at an angle, get the bevel on there. So we'll just size it. And take it down to 43 mils. Now, without having the extender on here, to get across at that end I need to go in a bit. Okay, so the rest I'm going to risk without a face mask so that I can speak to you. Let's just check it's round. It is. It's got some orange, purple, a little bit of brown, all sorts of stuff going on in there. Now, although I don't need a visor, I do need some glasses because I can't see what I'm doing. So we'll go think what I'm doing. So here's the measure, again the height and the maximum width line, and this is just allows me a little bit on this side and a little bit at the bottom. Okay, and obviously that's not the centre because we want the egg shape. This is slightly to this side. This is going to be turned as a hemisphere, and this is going to be turned as a slightly pointed oval. Where are we? This is set to a right angle for my chisel, and I've got a little scratch on the end of here that gives me the right length. And that's even before it's got any finish on it. Okay, so we've got an egg of sorts there. Probably afford to take a little bit of more off here. And I'm going to sand it as much as I can at the moment, just because I get more access to it. Just get a bit of tack cloth. See what that brings out. There we go. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Turn the extractor off. Let's see if we can. There we go. Like a rainbow. So now we get rid of the stem. Record power chucks work in the opposite direction to Nova chucks. This is a record power SC4, I think. Quite often go the wrong way with them. And what we've got here is a jam chuck and it's slightly wider than the egg, so that's 50, but it tapers down to about 40, and that will go in these step jaws because it was turned to fit in them, running true. And whoops, we can put the egg in and it will be held there. If I bring that up, it will help to centre it, and if I tighten it up, it will push it into there and hold it. If it wasn't holding it, I could just give it a light tap with the hammer, but I don't want to go any further than I have to. Okay, so now that's turning nicely, and that will allow me to take off this nib at the end and finish the end. Okay, now when you're turning near the centre of the blank, really do need not put much pressure on. Remember, it's only being held against the wood, so very careful. Steady away, let's take that away. No real pressure, and want to avoid a little ring like that. Again, a shear scrape should get rid of it. Blend it in. Make sure it's not a sharp point. Eggs don't have sharp points. There we go. And should be able to sand that now. So we'll put the extractor back on. Ideally, want to sand as little area as possible because all this has already been finished. But we do need to blend it in. Got a tack cloth if I can. There it is. Find what I've done with it, just to see what it looks like. Be careful not to get that caught in there. It's looking nice. Now we've got to get it out of the jam chuck, and my lathe has got a through hole here, so I just take a piece of dowel through there, find the hammer that I had. No, can't find the hammer that I had. Use this hammer instead. So, there we go, and out it comes. Take that out, and then we can reverse it and go through the same again. I'll just bring this up to centre it. There's only a small imprint of a hole there because it was on the stead. That's good enough. And again, we just want to give it a tap with the missing hammer. Can't see it at all. You always put your tools back on the places they belong. There we go. So it has got a little bit of a, put your tools back where they belong. It's got a little bit of a eccentric turn on it, but not enough to bother. And again, I can take the extractor off, put down the noise, and very steadily away. And then we don't want to point, we don't want to flat bottom, so just a bit of scraping, avoid any rings. It should do it. And then through the grits again. There we go. And there's a Cocobolo egg. Now it's got a slight band around it from where it was being jammed in the chuck. So I'm just going to go over it with the 600 to get rid of that band. and then this will turn up absolutely beautiful with a bit of sealer and polish on it, which I will show you. The sealer and polish will not hide the band, so it's important that you can't see it before you put the sealer on. Sealer isn't there to disguise any faults, so got to get it looking right. We'll just check with a bit of tack cloth. There we go. Lovely, even before it's got any sealer on. Right, this is a piece of lathe, which is surprisingly nice wood to turn for a soft wood. Let's see what happens. Got some tear out at the end here, but we've still got the end to finish off when it goes in the jam chuck. This one's an ambitious one. This is Black Palmyra, and it's horrible stuff. It's got little black spines which tend to fly out when you're turning, so definitely a helmet job. A bit dusty. And I've also sharpened my tools up, so we'll see what goes on. You can probably see the tiny little spikes that come out, and they're really quite sharp and not very nice. However, the wood itself is lovely picture in it, but quite open grain inevitably. The black spikes are very hard, and then the wood in between is much softer, so you get lots of voids, which we'll have to try and get out later on. Because I shouldn't have shear scraped it. That's lovely. That's see if it will focus in. There we go. A smooth grain. Very, very unusual. Let's do one more. This one's called Belly. I think it's also called monkey wood, and it's a slightly lighter version of Zebrano, so it should come out quite a stripy looking egg. So that's some belly. Nowhere near as pronounced a stripe as Zebrano, but it is there. Let's see if I've got a, yeah. That's a piece of Zebrano, and as I say, it's there, but the stripe in the Zebrano is much more dominant, although of course this has been polished. So we'll just try it, and once again the shear scraping against the grain here has just caused a little bit of tear out, but that will probably go with the sanding. Let's have a go at one more. This is something I've never seen or tried. It's called Osage Orange. And apparently it's a bit of a pest in Oregon, I think, which is where it's native. Very scrubby. But it's meant to produce some brightly coloured colours. So there's Osage Orange, and Osage Yellow would be a better name for it. Look at that. Very, very bright yellow stuff. Apparently very good for making dyes. If you want to dye some textiles. This is berry. This one's Jarrah. This one is Goncalo Alves. This one is London Plain. Kingwood.